We have from AceBreakers, Crawler playing Paladin, and on Infused, you guys fielded out Micah, I think?
Mika.
Meeker? Yep,
Mika
Meeker
first, yep.
Rogue. Now,
So Crawler is known for playing Paladin.
he
Even
really
even I
is.
know him for that. I mean, he used to get involved in my community tournaments back in the day, and he kind of disappeared for a while.
He's
So
been around
he's
since the beginning, like literally the beginning. Like, there are very, very few people who've been playing Hearthstone as long as I have, since I was even involved in the stupid, crazy group that made its own simulator before the beta was out. He was there. He's been around for a very long time.
and I bet he's been playing Paladin as well.
Yes, yes, he has.
So
So,
looking at
yeah.
Crawler's list, it's more of a it has a coda, which is kind of an old school Paladin thing, or something you would see more in Control Paladin. So would you say this is Control, or would you say this is the more like popular mid-range variant that's out at the
This
moment?
is what I call a crawler list, which makes very little sense but somehow works. Because we were looking at this list and there's some really random stuff in it. You'll see it a bit later, but the Kodo is just one of the things in here. This was the list he ended up bringing because of the Undertaker nerf. So Aldor Kodo is pretty handy against control warriors and things like that.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good combo. I mean, Mika here, he's playing Oil Rogue, which has recently become quite popular. And so he's going to be looking to get some a big burst combo off with, say, stuff like South Sea Deckhand, Tinker's Oil, stuff like that. So let's see if he can pull that off while maintaining some board control.
Yeah, the prep sprint on turn 4 is a big tempo loss, but there was nothing else to really do there, so why not just draw 4 cards?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's given himself some more options. We see a fan of knives in his hand, which is good for the Mustafa battle. But he needs more on the board here, less in hand. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a Drake isn't brilliant, but he does get the backstab, which is pretty good for him, really. So what does the Shredder get?
I remember
Oh
I
yes,
was
I
in the call
remember.
for this, yeah. We were just
We
like, yeah, what do you do from here? And then Millhouse.
everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
The only time you ever want to see Millhouse Mana Storm on your side of the board.
We could have had a parrot, but we got a Millhouse. So this was pretty unfortunate for Mika. I mean, he pretty much lost board from that Shredder. You had the backstab, brilliant, and then Millhouse, great.
Now, the debate on this side of things was obviously you trade, and this was a longer turn because you need to figure out exactly what you're doing, but the Kodo seems to be a good play simply because Rogue really doesn't play any 2 attack or lower minions. Apart from maybe Blood Mage, maybe.
Most miracle-ish rogues will play Blood Mage, but another thing to consider about the Kodo is it has 5 health, which can be tough for rogue to clear sometimes. Eviscerates only do 4 without some spell power. You've just seen a Drake, so he's gonna have a Drake left and a Falnos. So if you look at his hand now, he's just drawn the Eviscerate, and now if that Drake was alive, he would have been able to clear this Kodo.
This is one of those hands where you have to stare at it for about 80 seconds or something while actually playing because there's just so much stuff in it. You need to consider all of the options. But yeah, the SI7, Backstab, Hero Power, one of the only ways of dealing 5 damage very efficiently as the Rogue. SI7 doing a ridiculous amount of work as usual.
I mean, he used a lot of he used 2 cards to clear that Kodo, and it is a 5 health creature, so it's not too bad. And getting the SI onto the field just gives some board because that's what Mika's going to be wanting now. He's going to be wanting to fight for board as much as he can
Yeah,
because he needs to be able to set up a Tinker Oil a turn.
this turn ended up being Sylvanas. Now, one of the reasons that one that was an amazing top deck, but the other thing that ends up working is because chances are a rogue will, especially with a Sylvanas, they have to invest a decent amount of mana to actually kill this, unless they just have Shiv, which came off the top of the deck. And then there's follow-up Tyrians to kind of bait out the saps while there's still 27 life to work with.
Yeah, Crawler's probably ahead now, I would say, looking at his hand and his life total. Mika probably would want to have established a board earlier to start chipping in some damage, so that Tincoil in his hand would do a bit more work. But I think the unfortunate thing for Mika here is he's using his damage to kill stuff. And all his burst has been. I mean, he's got 2 eviscerates, which is great. And he's got this has to be still got all that, but Crawler still has enough in his hand to keep him busy.
And a Tyrian.
And a Tyrion with no sap as of yet.
And even if there is a sap, it's one of those, like, if you sap it, you need to kind of do something else to build the board. And if there's a top deck sap, what else do you do? Do you just go, like, hero power deckhand, like, or hero power sharp sword oil and kind
I,
of go from there?
yeah, apart from the Tyrion, I would say Mika would be ahead if Tyrion wasn't in hand.
Yeah, I can see
Because he
that.
has so much damage in hand. But being able to coin out this Tyrion now is a massive nuisance for Mika without a sap. The
It's
coin played a
pretty
big
brutal.
part there. Yeah, the coin played a massive part there in that turn.
Gadgetzan Auctioneer. The only time you don't want to see it is when you have a full hand. The question is, what do you play here? Because it's going to be difficult to kill this. I think you can go Fan of Knives, Eviscerate, Hero Power, but that's too much damage. So you have to use the Drake here, I think.
I mean, his option is he could use the South Sea deckhand if he really wanted to. But
Yeah,
I
that's
just
true.
there's the sap.
Wow, there's the sap. But that's all of his mana gone.
Yeah, and it's a shame you had to use the Fan of Knives there because obviously that's a card you want to see used against the Muster for Battle because that card can swing a game very easily combined with the Quartermaster. Speaking of which,
I think this is just Tyrion again, personally.
I mean, yeah, you've seen the sap now, and you had to use a Fan of Knives to clear the Divine Shield. So yeah, just drop Tyrion again. Deal with it again then.
Yep, it's the have fun. You can deal with this again. There is a lot of healing in this hand, by the way.
Yes, there's anti-heal bot, and then there's the Lay on Hands.
I'm a big fan of anti-Keelbot and these slower Paladin decks because Lay on Hands, it heals you to make up for the tempo loss and the damage you're going to take for spending 8 mana on a draw spell. But anti-Keelbot is much better when you want the emergency heal.
I've even seen anti-heal bot squeeze into mid-range paladins these days. I'm pretty sure Strife Crow squeezed it in once or twice.
I've played it in some of my versions as well. I think it's quite underrated. It really is.
So what's Mika going to do here? I can't quite remember the decision I was made. So he plays the Deadly Poison.
Yeah, deckhand and then sharp sword oil could kill it.
And
Or
he gets to play the
flurry.
The flurry, yeah. So he gets to play the flurry.
Tons of damage. And big game hunter.
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately.
This is why anti-Keelbot's so good. Big game hunter, anti-Keelbot. Just completely shuts us down. And funny thing is, this turn is scary from the Paladin's perspective, but by the end of the turn, the Rogue is in trouble.
Yeah, he's got the Ashbringer out. The Ashbringer's going to do some work on that health. He doesn't have a lot of it yet left. And he does have the anti-heal bot.
Sabotage. Could sabotage the weapon. Gadgetzan sabotage. Go from there. Or maybe Assassin's Blade sabotage.
Even yeah, that's true. Bot. I mean, heal bot, I don't think he needs to heal bot just yet. Paladin doesn't have a lot of burst. So I think the Assassin's Blade is fine, because he can clear the board here.
The Assassin's Blade has entered the field of play.
And I like Sabotage, it's a cool card. You can get the combo out. It can do a lot of work against classes like Paladin and Warrior, for example.
Now, this is funny because for most people, this looks like an obvious Muster for Battle Quartermaster play. But what we actually spent most of this turn doing was figuring out the maximum amount of damage a Rogue can do off 5 cards. Like, we were just thinking, what actually wins here?
I mean,
there's a Lay on Hands.
You've seen a Tinker's, you've seen a Blade Flurry, you've seen a deckhand.
We were thinking Deadly Poison and then like double Abyss. How much is that? Which is, I mean, it's 13. And then if there's another Flurry, yeah, but the chances were so low that we ended up just saying, well, we can win next turn. And it's only the first game.
You can go for the win here. If you wanted to play really tight and really safe, you could just Lay on Hands. I mean, I don't think he has enough damage in his deck left to deal with that.
Yeah. It is a bit of a a situation where rogues have a lot of different types of cards in them, so you don't know if there's some sort of weird faceless manipulator damage combo,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
could just deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and that would kill you through it. Whereas if you just go for the kill now, it reduces the chances.
So Mika here is fishing for the Blade Flurry.
Yeah, for the second flurry, and if there isn't one, it's just game. That
And
blood
it's
mage still
Falmer.
knows. It's like, hey, blood mage, and this is the fish for prep.
Yeah,
Like,
into Blade Flurry.
yeah, it just didn't work. So the paladin does take the matchup, even though it's usually not favored for the paladin. That anti-Q bot I think won the game. That anti-Q bot did a lot of work.
It was the combination of having a good way to deal with Mika's board at the start as well. He never really established any